Hey everyone, Corey here coming in to do the weekly energy update. Today is Monday, May the 20th. We are on the holiday Monday. And so this feels like a kind of quiet day if you're out and about, and there is some quiet energy that is existing here on Earth. But the quiet energy is kind of like the mask over some of the uh deeper energies that we are feeling. Now, this is also the week of the full moon, and we're about to come into that full moon energy with like a sense of conviction. And so there's a real conviction to the full moon. Now we are just transitioning in from Taurus energy into Gemini energy. Gemini is the air. So we're just coming from earthly energy. And it has some solidness to it. And we're moving into air. And so there is a massive level of unpredictability that's also in this energy. As we were coming through this shift and this transition this weekend, and if you could feel energy, you could really feel this. Possibly you could probably feel that real wave of ups and downs, maybe felt like something was wrong, really challenging. But it's as we move into today's energy and into the next few days, it's like you can't hide anymore. You can't hide behind the passive energy, right? There's this passiveness that's there, and this kind of subdued kind of energy, but we can't hide behind that subdued. It's rising up. It's rising. Something is really on the rise, and it's really rising up. The energy. And this morning, of course, they did confirm that and I don't do politics so much, but the energy of it, but that they had confirmed the passing of the Iranian president in a helicopter crash. And that so links and ties into, the unpredictability of we just don't know what's going to happen, how things are going to happen. And so there is a real unexpected energy that is there. Now, did we see some of this stuff coming in energy wise? Yes. But do we see the whole picture? No. But we do have, as we're in this energy, and I feel it, and it almost feels like I need to whisper. I feel like I need to whisper. It's almost like don't raise your voice, don't speak too loud, don't let people hear you. There's a sense of kind of a sense of being censored. So there's a real censoring. I just feel like it's like hands over our mouth. It's just like don't say the things that you know are true. And so there's truth that is going to reveal itself coming up with this full moon and beyond this full moon. Now, Sagittarius is probably one of the friendliest of the fire signs. It's one of the sweeter aspects of the fire sign, but also um can also hold some real vengeance in it. And so this full moon does bring in the shadow aspect. It does bring up the aspects of shadow, but in a gentle way so that we can begin to be prepped and prepared for beautiful movement moving forward or opportunities to move forward. As we're shifting this energy, I just feel this rage kind of energy. So there's this rage. So I just keep hearing that song. What is it? Rage Against the Machine. I keep hearing Rage Against the Machine. That's what I keep hearing. And so I'm going to give you exactly what I'm seeing, because I'm seeing something rolling in, and I'm seeing tanks. I'm seeing army tanks. I'm seeing things that are being done behind the scenes. And it does feel as if there is I don't know if this is new war or if this is like escalated, but there is some escalation of rage that is being kind of revealed to us. And we're seeing this. And the way we're seeing this is in almost like a thunderous kind of energy, a big boom, big thunderstorms, big lightning kind of energy. So it just feels like the massive thunder, lightning kind of energy. But it appears as a tank. And what I keep seeing is a tank. And I keep seeing a tank rolling in and rolling through. And so this may be an escalation. It could be it could be an escalation, or it could be a ceasefire. Don't really know yet, but there is kind of the energy of I'm being like, we're being revisited to the war stories, is what's in this energy. Now, let me bring that into ourselves. So if we bring that from a world scale and we bring it into our personal self and what it feels like inside of ourselves, is the areas of life where you have really truly doubted yourself or been in doubt, where there has been uprises of situations and stories, conflicts and chaos of the past that has been unresolved, has not been resolved. This energy is bringing about the opportunity or the possibility that this is where it may escalate and finally have a full explosion so that everything reveals itself and everything comes out. And when endings like that are happening, it feels so raw, it feels so destructive, it feels so heart-wrenching. But on the flip side of that is that then there's no more guessing, there's no more assuming, there's no more doubt, there's no more nothing. We've gained a new truth. And then there's a possibility then to build up from there and build the new beginning, to begin again, to start again. And whether or not the same people can be in your life to start again, that's all up in the air. That depends on people. It depends on yourself. Can we repair the damage? That's the thing. Is that some of this damage repairable? Can we heal from this in the same environment that made us sick? And can we really truly, do we truly want the same? And so there's a lot of influences. There's a lot of things that influences choices and decisions. So if you're in one of those situations, if you have been fearing that uprise, but you knew it would have to come, well, it's in the possibility that it's coming out this week or this time in this energy, which ultimately also brings about the possibility of a great healing. It brings about a great resolution. It brings about a great release. It brings about great change. It brings about the possibility to make a change, to be the change, to see the change. And as raw as it feels, it brings us closer to love. And it brings us closer to being able to create a happier environment within ourselves and within our lives, and so that we can be moved by the experience. And sometimes the world, when the world is trying to spit us out from a situation and we refuse to let ourselves be moved by it, then the universe will do it for us. Something unfolds, something unravels that reveals those truths to us. And when it reveals those truths, and that may be your own fear stories. That may be something that you haven't dealt with in your own self. That may be the depths of your wound. That may be where the wound is always, you're just always picking the scabs off of things, or you're just always doing the surface work, but you're never taking out the infectious energy that causes you to keep going back to the rooted story. This energy gives us the opportunity to root it all out, to let there be a great healing. Let there be great healing, great change, to bring forth the fact that you will live with the scars, but you will no longer have that infected energy living and existing in you, that you move beyond that, that you finally set yourself free of the secrets, the things that are harbored within that deep sense of resentment, that hate, that vengeance, that anger, all of the flip side. And that allows us to open up the possibility to get to know deeper, more beautiful aspects of ourselves. Because on the flip side of anger and rage is love, is compassion, is kindness. And when we can open that up and we can let ourselves blossom into this new energy and this new possibility, is that on the other side of that is a new life, is new life, is the fact that new, fresh energy comes in. And this is kind of what spring brings. Spring brings the opportunity to let things be, to evolve, let things kind of grow. And so when we look at, say, a fruit tree, I mean, it looks so dead, right? Wintertime, it looks so dead. Early spring, it still looks dead. And then these little buds come, and then those little buds are there. And then those little buds don't come out on our time. Those little buds take time. And then we see little specks of green. Then we get little specks of leaves. Then we see little specks of white and pink. We see these little flowers beginning to come. And then all of a sudden, one day, everything is bloomed. And we go, oh my God, that's just like, there it is. It's right there. But while it's waiting, we lose our patience, and then we kind of ignore it and we forget about it because we don't want to look at it, because it's we only like it in one stage. We only like the bloom tree. And instead of embodying that experience of what it goes through to get there, and also then not being sad when the bloom leaves, because when the bloom leaves, it comes the possibility of fruit. So when we have to go through massive shifts and changes in our lives, and we go through the blossoming moments, and we feel that sense of courageous, we feel proud of ourselves, we feel like finally we've got the sense of relief and release that's happening, is that we can start to really truly breathe again. We can breathe into ourselves. But we also don't want to stay in that experience. It's like staying in the celebration of a hero's journey. You can't stay celebrating. You've got to move into the next action step, which is the new beginning. And so the new beginnings are coming. And this is where the rebuilding, this is where the rebirth, this is where the restructuring, this is where all that is really truly begins again. And that's where the fruit appear. And then the fruit take time to ripen. The fruit appear in these little buds, and then they have to grow. And so everything takes time, and everything is in the cycles. And as we're preparing and we're in the midst of the last leg of the spring energy, is that we have this next month of really truly being in the last leg of spring, of where the blossoms, the blooms, and all of those things come in, but also where we are going through those transitions, where we finally reach that sense of being at the peak. And so there's this pivotal peak energy. This is kind of like our tipping point in life, of where we have this sense of conviction, proud of ourselves, look at what we've accomplished well, look at what we're doing, standing up for ourselves, making change, seeing change. But then we have to start moving beyond that. So as we come through this last energy, and as we move into June, and we got a big period of time to do this now, is that there is a lot of the sense of, our thought process of action, of moving forward, of being sure, being aware of ourselves, that we don't want to live with the wounds with scabs. We want to make sure we do the healing work that needs to be done, so that we don't repeat those patterns. We don't go backwards again. And that we get to the phase of where we recognize the nectar, to reach the nectar, to get to the fruit, to get to enjoy the fruit of our labor, but also to be able to extract the seeds so that we can plant new seeds again, and we can begin again. And so when we can really truly move through each cycle and each period of time, is that it brings us into a greater sense of ascension, and a greater sense of evolution within ourselves, and that we evolve. And what evolves within us is our emotional thinking, our spiritual thinking, our physical realm, right? Like really truly working with all of these systems and these brains that we have within us. We have the heart brain, we have our brain, we have our gut. And when we can really truly have all of this activated and working together, is that we recognize we're not never going to meet these situations again. But when we don't have a stockpile of this energy and these stories and this hurt and this pain, when we have all of that cleared out, that when one new comes, there is space for that to exist in. It also brings about these miracle opportunities, because miracles happen when we begin to take action. And when we begin to take action, miracles happen. So because we're moving into a time of action, because we're making those shifts and those changes on a bigger scale, is that this is also the opportunity to see miracle opportunities, that once in a lifetime, those out of the blue, something just happens. Why did something happen? Because we moved, we made a move, we got in alignment. So we moved from being in the dark to being in the light. We became visible. We became everything is becoming visible. Everything is moving from being in the dark to being visible. Transparency is a massive word to really put forward here. And when we are so much more transparent with ourselves, is that this transparency plays out, because what is available to us now begins to be magnetically drawn to us because there's nothing blocking it. There is no obstacle. There is no kind of violent energy. There is nothing really standing in the way. And so the only thing that really stands between us and our best life is the blocks and the obstacles that we put there, the places and the situations that we stay too long, the unresolved, the things that we refuse to deal with, the things that we don't want to look at, and those places of sometimes where we move beyond finally being afraid. And the biggest thing is to learn to not to be afraid of the best version of ourselves, because the biggest human problem that we kind of have is that we have been conditioned and taught to fear ourselves, that we are not enough. And if we allow ourselves to move into the transition of recognizing that there's a lot of beautiful, powerful energy that exists in us, that we do not have to fear the best of us. We do not have to fear that aspects of ourselves, but we fear that sense of authority sometimes, that inner authority, or that greater authority, something that is more powerful, because we've been taught that what is outside of us, our politics, our government, our establishments, and our systems have more power than we have. And so how we're influenced by them, do we need them? But we need healthy hierarchy status. Like, we need a system, but we need healthy systems. And right now, nothing is a healthy system anywhere. And so this sense of knowing within ourselves is that we stop fearing our truth. We stop fearing what we're feeling. We stop fearing this. We stop fearing our intuition, our gut feeling. We start to say, there is some real serious truth, and we begin a journey on an energetic level. Doesn't mean you're all going to do this week or next week. It means that it is opening up the pathway for us to begin to walk this way, if we so choose. Everything is a free will choice, but it is that free will choice that is moving us into the possibility to live as the versions of ourselves that we may see and judge in others, the sense of, our own essence of our own star quality, the essence of our greater truth, the essence of our happiest version of ourselves, to bring that sense of joy, to awaken joy. Joy is that little push button that's hidden behind the heart that says, if I can have joy through experiences outside of myself. But joy is an experience that starts to begin to happen inside. And it is that part of ourselves that when we are the blossom and the bloom on the tree, and we feel that happening inside of ourselves. We feel that all the way to the root and to the ends of our nervous system. We feel enthusiasm, excitement, and bliss coming on, that we are finally freeing ourselves. We're finally speaking up. We're finally doing what we need to do. We're finally being the versions of ourselves that we've hidden away. That part of ourselves, that's the piece of ourselves. That's the piece of the puzzle that is really needed to grow and to allow it to come into fruition and to be developed, and so that it can become the fruit, so that we can be the reward. The fruit of our labors is in choosing to emotionally, spiritually grow, evolve, to live not in the entrapment stories, but to live free of the entrapment stories, and to be able to not be at war with ourselves and with others, and a sense of freedom that comes with that. And the biggest thing that we really truly need is, we need that version of ourselves, and we need to stay with those versions of ourselves and not be running, not be seeking for something outside of ourselves, not to be only depending upon your happiness and joys only based on what other people bring into your life, but what you have within you and the power you have within you to bring that to life. And so that's the energy we have this week. That's what we have happening. We do have the full moon. I will record even more, I think, for the full moon energy. But yeah, be prepared for, expect the unexpected. There's so much that's happening. But like I said, there is a kind of stillness, but it's not really still. It's a calm before the storm. And so there is a little bit of a calm before the storm energy that is taking place right now. But it feels like it's going to move really quickly and really fast. And but miracles do transpire. And I just keep holding on to the faith and the hope and the miracles. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful week. And if you like these videos, please subscribe to my channel. And of course, these are my books. And so my newest book is out, Wine and Chips, Story of the Grape Who Knew She Would. And so this story is written a few years ago, and it's a continuation from More Than Existing and Beyond the Reflection. First book, second book, third book. And then of course there is the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards that also tie into this as well. And so, yeah, and so this book speaks about, giving a voice to the voiceless. And one thing that's in here is, I always say, I write about the grapes that the gutless grapes, the seedless grapes, right? The gutless grapes. And those gutless grapes, right? How inconvenient the seed is, but do you know the power of the seed? So we're always trying to remove that one key, that one seed within. But do you know the power of that seed and how important that seed is to us and what that seed can do for us? So the best quality of us, the best gifts of us are often the things we'll trade away first. It's the things we hide away first, because it's often conditioned throughout life that is the part of us that is the biggest problem. Because people fear the greatest versions of themselves, and in return, they also then try to diminish the greatest version of the people around them unintentionally, but it just happens. And it's time for us to no longer be diminishing and being afraid of living and from the greatest sense of the self that we have. And it is pretty freaking divine and pretty spectacular. But it does not feed into the enemy story. It does not create the enemy. It does not bring self-destruction. It does not cause us hurt and harm. It meets the gates of the temptation of our choices. We'll always meet them, but we always know to turn into the direction that brings us closest to the life and amplifies our lives. And when we can live from that place, we live in beautiful energy. And that's the opportunity we have coming up for us. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful day, and I will speak to you soon.